Hi, I'm Christopher Warnock of Renaissance Astrology, and today I'm going to talk about exaltation degrees, which are a way to supercharge the already strong exaltation dignity. So I'm going to be talking about exaltation dignity, exaltation degrees. I'm going to talk about our sun exaltation talismans, and I'm also going to talk about the Emperor Akbar. This is going to be a sort of continuing theme, uh, and I've really found it fascinating to delve into the Mughal emperors of India and Afghanistan in the Renaissance. And it's part of the Renaissance that we're not really used to thinking about, but it's an incredible part of it, and astrology was really important for them. So let's just dive in. The essential dignity system is really a key part of medieval Renaissance astrology and allows for a very precise measurement of strength, of weakness, and affliction of significators. And this allows us to have a very precise mapping of reality and allows us to predict. So, for example, a planet in its sign is dignified by +5, in its exaltation +4, in triplicity +3, in term +2, and in face +1. If it's peregrine, the way I operate is that peregrine is 0, having neither dignity or debility, and then the debilities are being in detriment, which is a sign opposite to the sign that you rule. So, for example, the moon rules Cancer, so she's in detriment in Capricorn. And then the fall, which is the sign opposite to exaltation. So again, as sign is +5, detriment is -5, as exaltation is +4, fall is -4. So one of the traps you can fall into, and Lilly even did this, even though he's a medieval Renaissance astrologer, but it's definitely true of modern people, is to try to reduce everything to a number. And they'll say, oh, Jupiter is 14, as if that's giving us any useful information. They start adding up accidental and essential dignity and all sorts of things together, and you just end up with this number. Not very helpful. The scores are useful in terms of just getting a sense of the relative strength of things or weakness of things, but what's really useful is understanding the nuances of what the essential dignity mean, and that really helps with prediction. It's useful for talismans as well. So for example, John Partridge, who's a medieval Renaissance astrologer, English 17th century astrologer, says in his book Micropenastron, he says, a planet in sign or exaltation is like a man in his castle. And you can also have mixed dignity. So, rather than just adding everything together, you can be both strong and weak at the same time. I mean, we can imagine that, that happens in our life all the time. You think about you love someone, you hate someone at the same time. How would you express that as a number? He says that a planet in sign but retrograde is like a man sick at home. So very useful. The essential dignity system is really one of the bedrock systems and modalities that's used in medieval Renaissance astrology. Absolutely key. And so when we're making talismans, what we want to do is maximize both essential and accidental dignity. So we're looking at essential dignity as one of the key factors that we're going to want to enhance to make a strong talisman, to make it at a time when that particular influence of that planet is going to be strong. So as you can see, the sign, is a little bit stronger than exaltation. I think for a talisman, they're pretty much equivalent. I mean, I'm perfectly happy to make talismans in exaltation. Very strong talisman. And in Picatrix, to say book 1, chapter 2, will even call for exaltation as, the dignity that they want to have. It's interesting, exaltation in terms of nuance has an association with power and kingship. And it's interesting that planets that are exalted are sometimes said to be more powerful kingship and authority than planets in sign. Exaltation also has an association with quick results, though sign dignity may be a longer lasting dignity. So, you can see pretty easily where the sign rulership in traditional astrology comes from. It's not like rules like. It has to do with starting with the signs ruled by the sun and the moon, and then you can see the progression as it goes around. So, for example, on each side is Leo and Virgo. Leo and Cancer. Then you have Virgo and Gemini, which are ruled by Mercury, and then the next, as you go around, you have trines and sextiles and the benefics, and it's very interesting. I'll put a link to a chart that explains the sign dignity, but that's easy enough to understand. The exaltation dignity, though, is very mysterious. And I've seen videos and podcasts where people, they pontificate about what they think the origin is. I think the reality of it is that there's a lot of theories, and we don't really know where it comes from. I like Abu Mashar. He was an medieval Arabic astrologer, and he says the exaltations are the positions of the planets at the beginning of the world. And I think that's a really an interesting thing to think about. Now, what this also points to is the fact that while in both medieval and Renaissance astrology, um, the exaltation was the entire sign, the earliest use of it was there was a specific degree in the exaltation sign. And there's a number of variations on that. You can see a link to my page, my exaltation degree page. Depending on the source, there can be differences in what specific degree is considered to be the exaltation degree. And so, for example, typically the sun is considered to be exalted in the 19th degree of Aries. Now, let me just hold that thought right there. 19th is like the 1780 being in the 18th century, okay? So the 19th degree of Aries is from 18 Aries in 0 minutes to 18 degrees of Aries in 59 minutes, okay? That's the 19th degree. So that can be a little confusing. Typical thing with our traditional sources. So you've got these exaltation degrees which are very pinpoint. And you know, when I get these, I get the sense of like the exaltation definitely is throughout the entire sign. The planet is definitely exalted and +4 throughout the entire sign. But at that specific degree, then it really exalts and supercharges and increases the power of that exaltation. So it's really quite incredible. So let me give you an example of this. This comes from you know, some reading I've been doing about Emperor Akbar. He was the Moghul Emperor of India. The Mughals came from Afghanistan, from Central Asia. They were Islamic, but very open to Sufism and other influences. Conquered northern India, and they even though again when they were Muslim, they were also ruling Hindus, Muslims, Jains, all sorts of different types of people. And Akbar took this to an even higher level. He was very open to people coming from all sorts of different cultural backgrounds. He even had his own spiritual path that he initiated his courtiers into. Had a very strong Sufi influence. But one of the key things about this was open to all different spiritual paths, all the different esoteric knowledge that was available. Another interesting thing about the Mughals is they're really into astrology. I mean, this is, like I said, this is 17th century, you know, height of the Renaissance, and they're definitely in touch with the astrological influences, both the Western style, Arabic style, and then Vedic astrology as well. And it's interesting, I'm just looking at a book called the Akbarnama, which is the history of Emperor Akbar, and it has a whole variety of his horoscope, natal horoscopes, and delineated by astrologers in a Western Arabic style and also in a Vedic style as well. So very interesting. But what really drew me to the exaltation was a passage I was reading in his biography, and it says, every evening before the entertainments began, there was a ceremonial lighting of lamps and candles before the end of the day, which was a sacred task. He says, and on the day when the sun entered the 19th degree of Aries, that's the exaltation degree, a lustrous white stone called the Sarajkrant, the shining stone, so this is like a gemstone, was held up to the sun with a piece of cotton next to it. And the reflected heat of the stone soon lit up the cotton, just like a mirror. And this fire was kept burning for a year in a vessel called the Agnigir, the fire pot. And all the candles, torches, and lamps were lit from this source. So you can see the incredible spiritual power here of this exaltation degree. And you know, they've got this whole ritual where the light comes through it, it's focused, it causes flame, and then that flame is used to light everything in the emperor's palace for the whole rest of the year. So, you know, I think this is just a testimony to the incredible power of the exaltation degree. And, you know, it's interesting because as more and more medieval Renaissance technique becomes known to people, I mean, modern astrology does, you know, just doesn't have as much technique, it doesn't have as much nuance. People are getting really turned on by specific astrological factors and recognizing how these rare factors that don't come up very often can have incredible power. Now, Kazimi is one that the people are getting more and more knowledgeable about. Kazimi is when a planet is within 16 minutes of the sun. It's incredibly close. I mean, the diameter of the sun, the apparent diameter of the sun is about 16 minutes. So it's really in the heart of the sun is what Kazimi is. Very powerful, and it really, again, supercharges the power of the planet to be in that position. So when I look at exaltation degrees, I see something very, very similar to Kazimi. I see this extremely rare, very short duration astrological event that has this incredible power that takes an already strong dignity of exaltation and then supercharges it by getting planets specifically in that exaltation degree. And I think as we're going to see, as people are appreciating Kazimi, they're also going to appreciate exaltation degree talismans and prize them, just like the Kazimi talismans. Both are very, very hard to make, very difficult to do, and very rare and very powerful, and then very, very valuable. So we do have some sun exaltation degree talismans. And the specific design for this comes from the Book of the Treasure of Alexander, which is a medieval Arabic source of astrological magic. And it explains how to make these talismans in the exaltation degree of the planet. And so, really the sun is an incredible choice. I really think that the sun is probably one of the best choices for people for talismans because, first of all, it does so many amazing things. The sun is great for success, for fame, for authority, for wealth. This is like a king. Of course, the king's going to be rich, and also good for health. So if someone wanted a general health talisman, I would definitely be looking at the planet first would be the sun. And then these basic powers are supercharged by exaltation degree. And then the addition to these basic powers, Book of the Treasure of Alexander says of the sun exaltation, it says, whoever carries this will be exalted and honored by kings. All who behold him will be in awe, and no one will wish to harm him. So it adds this protection element to it, as well as this fame to all the other, the health and wealth and all these other things. The other thing that's wonderful about the sun is that it doesn't have contraindications in the natal chart except for a few people. So first of all, the sun can't be combust because it's the one doing combustion. It doesn't ever go retrograde, so you don't have that to worry about. And then it only has one sign that it rules, so it only has one detriment in Aquarius, and then it has its fall in Libra. So only if you have sun in Libra or Aquarius do you need to worry about the sun as a talisman. If you have those, it's a question mark, and then you can check with divination. That's something you can contact me, and I'll be happy to do that. Like I said, as always, if you're interested in getting a Renaissance Astrology Talisman, you can contact me. You can see the link there, and I'd be happy to check talisman compatibility of a specific talisman or make talisman suggestions. And then you can go ahead and order one. If you want me to check your birth chart for talismans, though, please contact me before you order, okay? That's very important. Please do not order and then ask me to check the talisman. That causes lots of trouble. But I'm happy to do it beforehand, if you want to buy a talisman. And, it really is incredible. I look at these exaltation talismans and I think, wow, these sun talismans are really amazing. Let me show you what they look like. This is the bronze sun exaltation talisman, gorgeous. And to get a better idea of what the design looks like, this is the black and white of the design. This is the meditation card that you get with the talisman. And this follows the design from the Book of the Treasure of Alexander, which is a crowned man with a spear. And you can see the sign of Aries there. That's and the exaltation of the sun. Incredible talisman, incredibly powerful. And Book of the Treasure of Alexander says, they recognize how difficult it is to get the sun in the exaltation degree. It's only going to happen basically for a day out of the entire month that the sun is in Aries. And it says, don't worry about putting the sun on the ascendant. In other words, the normal thing that you'd think about, the other like external dignity and placement and stuff like that, they're like, don't worry about it. Just focus on getting the exaltation degree because that's super powerful. If you look at our sun talismans, we were so lucky to get this election. It was incredible. I mean, I don't know how we managed to do it. Not only is the sun in the exaltation degree, but it also is culminating, okay? And it is sun hour, and the sun is its maximum essential dignity, which is harder to do in Aries because you gotta get first exaltation is 4, triplicity is 3, 7, and you gotta also get the face dignity as well. So this is the maximum essential dignity, and we've also even got culminating, the external dignity placement, as well as the hour of the sun. Oh my God. Incredibly powerful talisman. Like I said, this is without a doubt our most powerful sun talisman. We only have a limited number of these. If you're getting, watching this video too much after June of 2024, it's an excellent chance that they've already sold out. But check them out. You can see the link if they're still there. And we definitely try to have exaltation degree talismans. They're extremely hard to do. It's the same thing with Kazimi. We just can't keep them in stock because they're so hard to make, and they're so powerful and then so popular with people. People just, snapping them up. So I just wanted to put it out there. I think it was really interesting, the use of the exaltation degree by Emperor Akbar's court, the magical and spiritual qualities of that. It's just sort of a testimony to how incredible these talismans are. So check those out. Check the sun exaltation talismans out. And I think that I'm expecting that exaltation degrees will become as big as Kazimi once people understand and get, as the people's knowledge and experience with medieval Renaissance astrology sort of filters in to the modern practice. So very exciting. I hope you'll check that out, and I'm looking forward to, there's a lot of astrological stuff that has to do with the Moghul emperors. They, of course, were able to do some amazing things with it, and I'm going to look forward to talking more about that in further videos.